The Vatican is the smallest state in the world. Although the dwarf state is only half a square kilometer in size and has barely 500 inhabitants, it exerts great political influence in the world through its head, the Pope. Located in the center of Rome, it is the center of faith for more than 1 billion Catholics. The state is governed only by men, its citizens pay no taxes, and it is the only country in the world with Latin as its official language. But why is the Vatican, which is completely surrounded by Italy and whose area is only 1/8 the size of New York's Central Park, a country on its own right? Looking into history, one notices that as early as the 8th century, the popes of the time established their own state, the so-called Papal States, which covered all of central Italy. The popes of the Middle Ages and early modern times were quite power-conscious rulers. From the Papal States, they intervened in world affairs, crowned emperors, and sent troops to other territories. It was not until 1309 that the popes came under the dependence of the French crown and therefore fled into exile into Avignon in France. Therefore, Avignon was the seat of the ecclesiastical head for almost 70 years, which included the Great Plague epidemic. Only in 1377 the return to the eternal city of Rome took place. It was also now that the residence of the popes was also built on the Roman Vatican Hill, replacing the centuries-old seat of the popes in the Lateran Palace, which is about 5 kilometers away from the Vatican. The Swiss Guard, recognizable by their armor and colorful Renaissance uniforms, has protected the Pope since 1506, when Pope Julius II hired one of the Swiss mercenary troops for his personal protection, and since then they have remained at the side of the Vatican. Nowadays, the Swiss Guard is the smallest standing army in the world, serving mainly for ceremonies, but still comprising well-trained soldiers and highly skilled marksmen. And yes, the force is made up entirely of Swiss citizens. But back to the story. A few centuries later, then in 1870, as part of the national unification of Italy, King Victor Emmanuel had the Pope's land completely occupied by Italian troops. If one fell swoop, the Pope lost all his temporal power, troops and territories. The Papal States were completely incorporated into the newly formed Italy. The popes refused to recognize the authority of the Kingdom of Italy, and the Vatican remained outside Italian national control. Pope Pius IX declared himself a prisoner of the Vatican, and for nearly 60 years the popes refused to leave the Vatican and submit to the authority of the Italian government. For 60 years, therefore, this so-called Roman question remained without a final settlement. It was not until 1929 that the Vatican city-state was created with the so-called Lateran treaties. These treaties stipulated that the secular territory of the Roman Church would henceforth be limited to Vatican City. In the Lateran treaties, the Church was compensated with 1.75 billion liras. The Vatican used the payment as seed money to replenish its treasury. According to the Lateran treaties, the actual territory of the Vatican City extends only over the area bounded by a wall. The Vatican includes St. Peter's Basilica, St. Peter's Square, and the palaces and gardens within the Vatican's wall. However, the Vatican also has several other properties outside its territory, such as the Pope's summer residence and the Pontifical University, as well as various churches, basilicas, and also many apartments and real estate in Rome. It was the fascist dictator Mussolini who returned sovereignty to the popes by signing the treaty. In it, the Vatican was recognized as the successor to the Papal States and given the legal status of an independent nation. Since then, the Vatican has had its own citizenship, its own bank, its mint coins, issued postage stamps, and its cars have Vatican license plates. The Vatican State is an absolute elective monarchy. The Vatican is governed by the Pope elected by the College of Cardinals. The Pope combines all three powers of the state in one hand. He is the ruler of the legislative, executive, and judicial branches, which is why there is no separation of powers here. The Pope is therefore the last absolute ruler of Europe today, because, once elected, he is the head of the Vatican and the Catholic Church as long as he himself approves, and no one can force the Pope to abdicate. So far there was only one Pope who renounced his office for reasons of age. That was 2013 Pope Benedict XVI.